Time card.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight to go through this agenda for next week's meeting. First, we have approval of minutes, September 12th, 2022, 3 o'clock special called work session. September 12th, 2022, 5 p.m. council work session. September 19th, 2022, 9:30 a.m. council work session. September 19th, 2022, 10 a.m. council meeting. Any changes? No. Set public hearings. Ordinance number 22-4534. Approved zoning request 1402-22 for property located at 4318 Central Avenue Southwest to be zoned R1 Single Family Residential District. Set public hearing for November 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Yes, just a newly annexed piece of property getting its zoning assigned. This was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
Okay. Any questions? Next, we have ordinance 22-4535, approved rezoning request 1403-22 for property located at 2845 Modus Road Southwest from AG1 Agricultural District to an R5 Single Family Patio Home District. Set public hearing for November 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
This goes with a group of rezonings that were just recently approved. This one lagged in the contract process, but this will be added to a larger property for a pretty sizable patio home development.
Any questions?
That'll be adjacent to the deluxe then, right?
Right
That'll
next
be
to, yes, that one.
Okay.
Right across from Austin High School and the Jack Allen Complex.
Next, we have ordinance number 22-4536, approved rezoning 1404-22 for property located at 502 Clark Street Southwest from R2 Single Family Residential District to an R6 Single Family Semi-Attached Residential District. Set public hearing for November 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Yes, this is kind of a sizable piece there on Clark Street that's currently zoned R2. They're looking to go R6 to plat some townhomes in there, and this was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
Any questions? Next is ordinance number 22-4537, approved rezoning request 1405-22 for property located at 3105 Old Moulton Road Southwest from Ag1 Agricultural District and R6 Single Family Semi-Attached Residential District to an R4 Multifamily Residential District. Set public hearing for November 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Yes, this is a piece that was currently owned by the Habitat for Humanity. They're in the process of selling it to a developer who's wanting to do a multifamily project on this property. Townhome rental, kind of that scale, not the large apartment building blocks, similar to what's being proposed behind the or next to the target development at the old Morgan County Board of Education property, and that was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission.
Any questions?
The access to that one will be off Old Moulton, correct?
Two accesses, all to Old Moulton.
Both on Old Moulton.
Yes.
Next, we've got public hearings. Ordinance number 22-4529, approved rezoning request 1401-22 to rezone approximately 6.69 acres from R1 Single Family Residential to R4 Multifamily Residential located at 2616 Arms Avenue Southeast. Public hearing was set September 6, 2022.
Yes, this is the property that is next to Target. It is one piece at the back in ownership with all the others, but it's in a R1 district, and this is to give it that R4 so that they can go forward with that multifamily project there.
And that's part of an overall larger...
It is, and they have stated and given us layouts that show all access going out to Point Mallard Parkway. I know that was a lot of the questions on this. There are a couple of streets there from that neighborhood that this backs up to that stub onto this property. Developer has said they do not want to access those streets. They've even said they want to put up a fence and have a complete separation so that no traffic, no kind of anything can go through
Yeah,
into
so
that neighborhood.
nothing's gonna go
All
back into the
access
existing neighborhood.
out to Point Mallard Parkway.
But the access out to Point Mallard Parkway will be a service road that takes them to a traffic signal?
At Country Club Road is what's being proposed for that access road. They are also exploring the option with ALDOT to turn the existing emergency signal there at the fire station into a full traffic signal, and that would be a second egress point for the development.
Okay, thank you.
And it would be mostly all the multifamily townhomes in scale would all be at the back with about 5 or 6 retail out parcels.
It's
up
just
front.
left outs right there, you know, big concern.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution 22-214, approve abatement of unsafe conditions at 507 13th Avenue Northwest. Public hearing was set September 6, 2022.
Yes, sir. This is 507 13th Avenue Northwest. We received notification of this by some complaints from the neighborhood. Basically, we've been doing weed abatements on this for several years. Went over there, talked to the neighbor, Ms. Woodruff. She said that there's been rats and homeless people and all kinds of stuff at the house. It's overgrown with, overgrown, with poison ivy and poison oak. It's got several holes in the windows and walls. I've got photos here if anybody wants to take a look at them. Had for the last year, it was condemned last year, on June 8th of 21. Been trying to get a hold of the owners. Notices were sent to every address that we could find. Could not get any of the owners responding back to me. Finally got a family member, and just last week I got in contact with Brenda Allen, who is the used to be the owner, the widow, the owner, and her stepson, Mr. Rodney Reed, is the owner, and we have yet to make contact with him. We've sent notices and notices. None of the mail has come back. We're proposing to have this house demolished because it's a public nuisance.
How long has it been condemned?
Since June 8th of 21.
Any other questions? Next, we have Resolution 22-215, approve abatement of unsafe condition at 504 Finley Drive Northwest. Public hearing was set September 6, 2022.
So we received a complaint back in March. We forwarded it to the police department about this property, people going in and out, using illicit drugs, drinking alcohol, doing things they shouldn't do. Police department went over there, called us out. It was open and secure. Once we got there, we determined the building was unsafe due to the conditions and the state that it was in. We're familiar with the property owner that owns this one. We've dealt with him on several other properties. When his abatement time came up, we sent him a letter advising him that we're going to give him more time to follow through with permits and attempt. Still had no contact from the owner. He got with us mid-June and told us that he would bring us some proposals and pull permits and begin repairs. That's what he wanted to do. He has since then not been in contact with us at all. We've reached out to him. I've tried calling him. We've been unsuccessful with making contact with him. So he's brought us no proposals. He's done nothing to the property. We've also issued several weed abatements on the property. The house next door, the duplex next door, the residents there continuing to complain about ongoing issues there with people in and out of that house. So we just put this forward to you guys in hopes to get it demolished.
Who owns that property?
Ivan Fletcher.
Now just out of curiosity and trying to figure out where they are, they've invested considerable amount of money into that house.
So if you recall, he is the guy that owned the blue house on 7th Southwest that we ended up tearing down. He purchased this one about the same time we tore that one down, and did make some repairs and brought it to code. I think Chris had him cited, we had him cited again for a property maintenance notice with the roof. He had some roof damage. He never got that fixed. Time just went on, and this is a result of it. So he's got some roof water damage and stuff going on throughout the house. Also, somebody's went in there and just destroyed the walls. I mean, there's hardly anything left but studs there.
So he had known this property very long then, is what you're saying?
I would have to go back and look at the deed, but he's had it, what do you think,
2020, 2019.
yeah,
2000 what?
2020,
Okay, so somebody else was doing the work then prior to that then?
correct.
Okay, all right, that's,
Yeah, somebody started the work and never finished it. He purchased it and finished it, which really wasn't a whole lot. And then since then, this is what we've got.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 22-216, approve abatement of unsafe condition at 406 Fifth Avenue Northwest. A public hearing was set September 6, 2022.
Gentlemen, this is a storm damaged house from our straight line winds back in April of 2018. This is the last one of those houses. Since 18, we've had contact with the owner, Mr. Alfonso Robinson. There has been no permits pulled, no work done. Initially, it was outside of the house, so we did the property maintenance, and then we actually was able to gain access to the house March or April of this year, excuse me. Upon the inspection of the inside of the house, we found several unsafe conditions. There were holes in the floor, structural damage, the ceiling was collapsing, the roof structure, the joists had started collapsing and were rotting from the storm damages from 4 years ago. We've spoken with Mr. Robinson several times. There's no work that has ever been done, no permits. He had intentions to try to fix the house. He doesn't live there. It was his daughter and grandson that lived there in the house. But no work has been done. And with the unsafe conditions we found, we just couldn't allow it to continue. So we finally condemned the house, and he has done, there has been no plans or no permits or any kind of proposals submitted to fix the house. So we are asking for consideration of demo.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
You say you spoke with Mr. Robinson?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And his explanation or response?
It was pretty well that he didn't have the money. He doesn't live there. It's not a priority for him. I actually prosecuted him on the property maintenance. They gave him a year to start to abate the situation, and he's done nothing in that year. We've currently, in that process, we've got a probation revocation filed against him, and are waiting a court date.
David, do we expect any sort of response tonight of this when this comes up?
We've not talked to him as of late, and this is sort of the last resort at this point. We've done everything that we need to do, try to keep it from coming.
I got you. And the reason I refer that question to David, I apologize, is because I know that David has a long-term relationship with this gentleman, so I understand the question. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next we have weed abatements. And David, if you don't object, I'll read them all at once, and you can tell us if there's anything new.
There's nothing new, we're ready to go on all of them, no changes.
Resolution 22-252, assess $285 against the corner lot of Runnymede Avenue and Leanne Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Resolution 22-253, assess $285 against 513 Ewell Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Resolution number 22-254, assess $285 against 811 Betty Street Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. Resolution 22-255, assess $285 against 2301 Monaco Avenue Southwest for cost of abatement of nuisance. resolution number 22256, assess $350 against 1121 Woodall Road, Southwest, for cost of abatement of nuisance.
We're ready to go.
Ready to go? Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you, sir. Move on to resolutions. Resolution number 22257, approve request for a special use permit for Verizon Wireless to modify equipment on an existing tower located at 2611B Highway 31 South.
Okay, this is a 148-foot self-support tower. Verizon is currently offering service on this, at this site. They're proposing to, they currently have 12 antennas on it. They're proposing to remove 3 of the existing antennas and replace it with 6 new antennas. So the count will increase from 12 to 15. It will not change the height of the tower. It'll be a technology upgrade and should improve the service. And CMS has reviewed the application. It's our recommendation for approval.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? I think you get another one.
I do.
Resolution 22258, approve request for a special use permit for Verizon Wireless to modify equipment on existing tower located at 1015 McIntyre Lane Northwest.
Okay, and this one is a 190-foot monopower toll. Verizon currently has 6 antennas mounted on this toll. They're proposing to remove all of the existing antennas and replace them with 9 new antennas. So it will increase up from 6 to 9. It will not change the height of the tower. It's also a technology upgrade and should improve the service. And CMS has reviewed the application and it's our recommendation for approval.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you. Next we have resolution 22259, preliminary approval of MUB FY23 expenditures expected to exceed $100,000.
Good afternoon. As the council is aware, back in 1939, Local Act Number 89 of the Alabama Legislature created the Municipal Utilities Board to operate the city's utilities. This act set a requirement for the council to approve any capital expenditure of the board over $100,000. The process required board and council approval for each project. Usually spans a period of 45 to 60 days to go through that process, and then also requires our vendors and contractors to hold their pricing for an extended period of time. If we can go through the next couple of slides. Move on to the next one, please. Well, back. I'm sorry. Okay, so each year, our management team submits a fiscal year budget to our board. We do that in August, in the August time frame, and then they have a month to review it, and then they typically approve those budgets at our September meeting. So with that, what we have before you is a resolution to seek preliminary approval for capital expenditures throughout the year that will exceed $100,000. This has been done this way for the past few years, and it's been done with very good success. This will streamline the purchase of our equipment as well as the execution of projects throughout the year. Each project will continue to be presented to our board throughout the year. If any of those projects go over the amount that we present to you guys at the work session tonight, as well as the meeting next Monday, if any of those projects go over that amount throughout the year, we will bring those back for council approval. And we did that several projects through this past year. So with that, we have a presentation that will go through what those expenditures are going to look like. That we'll be happy to quickly go through those with you and give you a description of what those are. We've got some in our electric, in our gas, water, and wastewater department. So with that, I'll turn it over to Glenn for the electric piece.
Good afternoon. I'll just run through the electric department expenditures, and if you roll to that next slide. This first expenditure for the electric system is for substation equipment. Each year we try to replace one of our oldest substations in our fleet of the distribution system. The budget amount is $170,000. That includes replacing breakers, reclosers, and regulators in a substation. Helps maintain our reliability and our safety and also our system stability. The next one I have for you is a substation transformer along the same lines of the substation equipment. We try to replace one of our oldest substations each year. The budget amount for this one is $400,000. This work goes along with our conversion work, which I'll talk about next. Replacing these transformers that are older and at the end of their useful life also maintains our stability and improves our reliability in the system. The last one I have is the conversion. So this has been an ongoing process for a number of years. We're replacing our system voltage from 4 kV to 12 kV, reduces our line losses in the system. It also is going to allow us to ultimately eliminate 4 of our oldest substations. We've replaced, or not replaced, but retired 2 of those already, and we'll have 2 more to retire in the next couple of years. The dual voltage equipment and the 4 kV equipment is becoming less common and adds to our costs, so this will allow us to eliminate those stations and get our system all to one 12 kV level. The 2 areas, or actually one area that we have left in the system to convert is on the north side of town near the river. So we've got in the Market Street, Rhodes Ferry area. That'll be the areas we're focused on the next couple of years, and that will finish up our conversion hopefully by 2026.
So is that where the breakers and transformers are going to that area?
No, since those, the Market Street station will be ultimately retired and go away, Rhodes Ferry will remain. So we have some other substations that we've already converted but have old transformers and breakers and things. So we'll be upgrading the stations that we know are going to remain in the system.
Thanks, Glenn. We'll talk about some items in our gas system that we'll be looking to do this year. The first one you have is our ductile iron replacement program. We still have about a mile of ductile iron pipe remaining in our gas system. We, over the last few years, have replaced several miles of cast iron and ductile iron. This is something that the federal regulatory agencies really push us to remove these leak potentials out of our system. So like I said, we have about a mile remaining. The locations of those pieces that we have left are on Linwood Drive Southeast, Valley Park Drive Northwest, and 8th Avenue Southeast. Next slide, we'll be looking to install a fire alarm system at our 10th Avenue wastewater operations facility. I think as the council remembers, we did have a fire there last year that destroyed some of our property there, destroyed several of our vehicles. Had the fuel guy not showed up when he did that afternoon and noticed the fire and called it in, it could have been a catastrophic loss at 10th Avenue. So with this system, it will alert our dispatch as soon as it senses it, and we'll have fire department respond to that. Next slide, we have a boring and trenching contract that we use to install new gas mains and gas services in our system. This is also for gas main replacements, gas service replacements, and loop closures throughout the outer edges of our system. And then the next slide is a Red Bank Road connector. This is a $1.2 million project. This is a project to close a loop in the outer edges of our gas system out in the Burning Tree area. This will increase reliability to approximately 600 of our natural gas customers out there by closing this loop. Right now, the way it's set up, if something breaks before it gets to those folks, we're going to have 600 people out of service for a while till repairs can be made. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tom to talk about some water projects, and then we'll go over some wastewater projects.
Good evening, everybody. These next few projects are at our water treatment plant. The first one being for $500,000. It is chemical and pump building improvements. That building has got some deterioration on the interior. we would probably blast and coat the walls again in that building, replace some of the doors and hardware, and some of the electrical components in that building. The next one would be for our water treatment plant filter effluent actuators. We have 40 filters at the water plant. Each one of those has an actuator that controls the water from that filter to the clear wells where it receives disinfection before going into the distribution system. So we want to update those actuators this year. And then the next one is the raw and finished water pump rebuilds or replacements. This is a placeholder for $175,000. We try to rebuild these pumps, one or two of these pumps every year. Sometimes they do run over $100,000. In a lot of cases, they're less than that, so you might not see that come back, but we wanted to just be on the safe side with that. And then the next one is water tank booster pumps. You know, we have several tanks in the town. We are constantly facing changing water quality regulations in our drinking water system, and these booster pumps help us keep the water turned over and fresh within the distribution system.
Okay, thank you, Tom. And then finally, in the water system and the distribution system, we have $675,000 allocated for replacement of aging cast iron water mains in the system. We've got a couple of areas identified. We'll continue to do some work in the northwest sections of our service area, as well as some areas in the downtown Decatur that we need to get replaced. So moving along to the next slide, some wastewater expenditures, pipe bursting projects for the coming year. We're looking at replacing 80,000 feet of clay lines. These are lines that have reached their useful life and are in need of replacement. This will also replace approximately 1,500 service connections to those mains. As you know, we've been doing this full-scale replacement for the last couple of years. I think everybody in Decatur knows what's going on there. So we're going to continue to do that, having a lot of success with this. And again, all of this is to minimize and mitigate our sanitary sewer overflows. The next slide, as part of that SSO mitigation program, we're budgeting $365,000 for our manhole rehab for the year. We're looking at approximately rehabbing 320 manholes in the system. Then next we have a couple of vehicles that we're looking to replace this year. One truck that's 20 years old is a Mack dump truck. We're budgeting $260,000 for that. This truck is used for wastewater construction projects for in-house crews, used to haul spoil, rock, pipe, debris, anything that's uncovered or utilized during the construction process. And then finally, on vehicles, we are looking to replace a 1990 lowboy trailer. This is a 32-year-old trailer that has pretty much run its useful life, so we're looking to replace it. We use this to haul and transport heavy equipment to job sites in our system. And then Clark Springs Collector Phase 3, we're budgeting a little over $4 million for the coming year. And then the following year, this coming year, we will do the design and engineering on that project, and then the following year, we'll do the actual construction. We're currently in Phase 2 of that project, where we're replacing a large collector line from Academy Sports going west under Danville Road. I think it's to McTavish, and then we'll pick up Phase 3 there, go west to the end of Dunbarton, and have our collector system upsized and ready for anything that may be coming this way.
All right, and then our last three projects before you tonight pertain to our wastewater plant. The first one being Lift Station 7, located on 5th Street in Councilman Jackson's district for $7,600,000. This would be to replace an aged station. That equipment is pretty much the end of its useful life there, so we'd be looking to do that. The next one is Lift Station 5, located at 14th Avenue, right behind the Round Bank. A lot of people probably don't realize it's there. That project, the engineering's approved, and it's currently at 60% design, so we would be shooting to go to bid for that probably in November and then move forward with the construction on that. And then the last one, $175,000 for wastewater treatment plant pump replacements. Again, this is just a placeholder that we put in place to periodically rebuild pumps at our lift stations and at the headworks of the plant.
Did you distinguish the fact that it's in my district because I've asked you about this for so many years?
No, sir, it's just,
I'm just
it
curious.
just fell out in the budget this year, so we're good to go.
All right, good deal. Good deal.
Yeah, we do need to talk with you about a few items, but we can do that
Good deal.
as we move on.
Good deal. Thank you.
You guys got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it seems like it's kind of mundane and just maintenance, but you know, that's the way you try to get ahead of things. So I appreciate the work you guys are putting into that. Thanks, guys. Somebody have anything else? Questions? All right, resolution 22-260, accept fatherhood grant from Children's Trust Fund.
Yes, this is our grant that we receive annually from the CTF to get non-custodial parents back involved in their kids' lives. So we just request your authorization to accept this grant.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Next is resolution 22-261, accept the 2022 Assistance to Firefighters Grant.
Yes, this is a grant that we applied for the fire department to do some wellness equipment at the training center. So we just request your approval to accept this grant.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Thank you. Next, we have resolution 22-262, approve capital expenditure to replace City Hall HVAC unit.
Yes, this is a unit over the police department and court section of City Hall. Back this way, it was recognized it was no longer cost effective to repair the unit. The cost is $40,757. Funds are available in the department's operating budget, but we've always come to you and asked you to approve capital expenditures. So there's no additional funding there. We're just requesting to do a budget amendment to transfer the money.
Okay, any questions? And resolution 22-263, approve budget amendment for the capital expenditure for final settlement on ALDOT STMOA FAUP CN10 95.
This was an old stimulus project to resurface a portion of Danville Road back in 2000. The agreement was signed back in 2009. I believe it was completed in 2013. We received the final settlement from the state. The city's portion of the overrun is $1,972.55 and requires a budget amendment.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have resolution 22-264, approve TTL agreement for the municipal parking garage. Resolution 22-264, that's the attachment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, by law, we have to have a third-party engineering group that inspects the building of the deck. And so this is for the agreement for that. I will note that this is, they're still waiting for the steel structure. There's a steel structure part of this agreement that they're waiting on the engineer to get into them. It's just backlog, so we'll submit that later on, but it's a lot less than this.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? All right, next we have resolution 22-265, approve budget amendment to FY22 budget for Station 5.
Yes, we are very happy to be reaching the end of the Station 5 project. The total cost to construct and furnish will come somewhere around $3.7 million, which is including the $60,000 additional that we are asking for this upcoming meeting. There's just some items that arose amid the project that added to the cost, so we're needing a budget amendment to cover those overruns and finish up.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have resolution number 22-266, approve the regional hazard mitigation plan.
Yes, this is where the Alabama Emergency Management Agency, along with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has reviewed our hazardous mitigation plan. It's actually a regional plan for compliance and has approved the plan pending the completion of local adoption.
There's 9 North Alabama counties involved.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir. Next, we have Resolution 22-267, approve city council meeting electronic communication policy. Herman?
State adopted an act that allows, under limited conditions, a council member, if they're sick, requirements are, we had to adopt a policy. Requirements are that you have the ability to hear the person calling in, we need to hear what's going on in the meeting, vice versa, we need to be able to hear them. They cannot count towards the quorum, if their vote does count, that's in place. This will allow that to occur. It's a very limited opportunity. But it does not do anything, it's not like the previous, when we had COVID, it's not like that. This is just if you're not able to be here because you're sick. And this is, there's a 45-day period after you adopt this, and it's fine if they effective December 1st. If you adopt it, it's effective December 1st.
Anybody have any questions?
This is verbatim to state code, correct?
Yes, we track the state code, what we did.
So just to clarify, there has to be a quorum in person
Right.
Has to be a
in
quorum
order
here.
for someone to call in.
Yes.
Yep.
Has to be a quorum here, and they have to be, in order to participate, they have to be sick. But yes, this tracks, the state act just requires us to adopt how we're going to facilitate this. Now, we also, as y'all know, we're on YouTube, but that's a delayed broadcast, so you've got to be able to hear simultaneously. Cannot be delayed. So that's, it'll be both, but one that we're talking about is telephone conference.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Resolution 22-268, approve October 17th, 2022 council meeting set for regularly scheduled date and times.
Well, y'all adopted back a few weeks ago, because it was a Washington trip that was set up and anticipated would not be a quorum here on October the 17th. But now that meeting has been canceled, so it's anticipated that the council will in fact be here on October 17th. So what this does is put it back where it originally was, October 17th, for the work session and the council meeting.
Any questions? Next, we have Resolution number 22-269, approve budget amendment for the capital expenditure for final settlement on ALDOT STPOA 9215003.
One more for me. Alton project overrun on the additional lanes on Spring Avenue. This is the final settlement on the preliminary engineering phase. Total overage was $52,925.18. Dwayne Helms had approached MPO about adding some additional funding, so MPO is going to be covering 80% of this overrun. They've already voted on it. The city's portion, which is 20%, will be $10,585.04.
And this is just the preliminary.
Just the preliminary engineering phase. It is not the construction phase.
Perfect. Anybody have any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Ordinances, first reading. Ordinance number 224538. Adopt changes to chapter 24.5, sections 53 and 55 of the Code of Decatur, Alabama, Record Services.
If y'all remember, representative of the Record Association or the location group came, wanted us to update the fees that they are able to charge for record service. That's what this does. It helps me. Hunter Pepper and the police department met with the representative from the record service and developed the rates that you see here. We say effectiveness December 1st because you need to give time for all the parties involved to get notice, determine, so to get it in place. So the insurance companies that normally pay a lot of this will know that. It's made effective. If y'all choose to adopt it, made effective December 1st.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, and we're down to ordinances. Ordinance number 224532, authorizing the issuance of $5 million revolving line of credit.
the renewal, because we had the first reading at last week's meeting, in my absence, finance manager, we should hear next week.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have boards and committees. Appoint Ella Chenault to the Historic Preservation Commission for a term expiring March 19th, 2024.
You'll be replacing Rebecca Burns
She moved.
as she moved.
Okay, anything else from department heads? Mayor?
No, sir.
Anything else from council? All right, thank you all for coming.